It's time for Winedown with your host, Missy, and the Winedown Wednesday crew. Join us tonight as we discuss topics that affect families on a daily basis. So grab your glass, your cup, or even your blanket. Settle in on the couch and join us in the room as we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hola, family, and welcome to another live edition of Winedown Wednesday. We are on time for once. Look at us being grown. All right, so we are back. This is the final episode in season 3. We will not be back again until January unless something special comes up, and then those dates will be posted. We're going to go through Black History Month, so we'll start in January, go through February, and I believe it's like the first or second week in March because February is a short month. What happened? Why are you looking at me like that, Angie? Did I misspeak? Okay.
I'm just taking notes.
Oh, all right. So we're going to be back after the new year. So everybody's going to take time off, be with their families, have Thanksgiving, Christmas by the time we come back. Hopefully we'll have another round of wonderful conversation because this last 6 weeks has been amazing. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback. And so we are glad and we appreciate those that followed us in this series. Also, you can catch the recaps on our YouTube page. If you are live with us right now or watching us, we ask that you share this page right now live to your Facebook or whatever streaming app you have so that others will come in the room and hang out and talk with us for the next hour. We've had some amazing guests. As always, I try to start off with the rules. No hate speech. We can agree to disagree. And what happens at your house may not happen at my house, but this is an opportunity for us to share ideas because maybe I'm looking for a new idea, right? So, and if not, and it's working, continue to do what you are doing at your house. We welcome suggestions at the end. I will give out, because it's not in our outro tonight, I will give out our contact information. Angie can also put it live. Don't look at me like that. I warned you that I was doing stuff. Angie left me unsupervised tonight to work on the outro by myself. And y'all know what happens with babies and old people. You can't leave us unsupervised. So henceforth, the outro tonight will be a little bit different, but bear with me. It's not Angie's fault. So should we put something, a banner across the screen to say, Angie did not do this. This is all Missy's doing, just in case it don't work. And then, yeah, it's all me. Anyway, in the room tonight, we have some very familiar faces, my normal co-hosts. We have Angie, we have Sheenan, we have Rachel, we have Cherie, we have Nick. Also joining us in the room tonight is Denise. Many of you don't know Denise, but Denise is home for us. Denise is one of the doulas that serves in the home community, and we are excited to see her tonight and have her join the conversation. I believe another one of our doulas or two may come in the room. One is actually serving a family tonight, so she won't be on. But yeah, so a quick recap of the last 5 weeks, tonight being week 6, and then we're going to move into another piece of this education, but it's from a different angle. So in the last 6 weeks, we've had author Eugene Banks on, who talked to us about his book, Young Black Boy, Young Black Earl. So I tell you again to go back and watch those on YouTube so that you can catch episodes. We did one with just the home mommies where we talked about the unintentional education of our children. That was a really good episode because sometimes we don't really think about the things that we're saying and doing as being educational for our children, but they are learning everything for the first time. So everything that we do is a learning experience for them. Then we had Letitia Penny in, who was talking about our early childhood education and how she runs the, the expectation, her expectation for classrooms there in North Carolina for the daycares that are under her expectations, and how they did a whole series on wood with the kids. And like, that was fascinating to us. We was also like, dang, all of that. So go back and watch if you're looking for ideas with your littles. Then we had Dr. Deborah Wortham on, who is the superintendent from New York. And like, I felt like we was all failing on that, because when she started saying the things that we should be doing and our kids should be doing by 18 months, yeah, I'm sorry, right? So I didn't even know half these things, like that 18 month, by 18 months, they should know all the sounds that all the letters in the alphabet make, and that they should be able to say their letters at a certain point, A to Z and then Z to A. Yeah, like, okay, I'm striving to be like her. I'm just gonna let y'all know that I'm trying to make 99, but right now I'm probably at a 94.2. So I'm just going to let y'all know, even with all the kids, I'm not doing it all. Then we had Pam Smith Johnson last week. Woo, and I just sat back and let her run the chat, because she had questions for all of us, and she talked about our fears, which were obstacles to education. Like, what are the things that we see in ourselves that make us fearful of our children proceeding in education? And so that was good. And a special thank you to her, because she joined us this past Tuesday in our normal chat room with our mommies, and when she was able to speak with several of the mommies on there. So thank you so much, Miss Pam. We enjoyed you in the room. And so tonight, being night number 6, we're going to backtrack a little bit in our educational process. And we've talked about the education of our children, but the truth is, if we are uneducated, right? And I don't mean going to college and everybody getting a doctorate degree. I'm just talking about educating, finding things out. We got Google, we got YouTube, even though I tell people, be careful, because, you know, you go on there and your left toe itching, by the time you get off there, you got 4 kinds of cancer, something needs to be amputated, like that. It just takes it all the way to the extreme, right? So getting the information is one thing, but then taking that information back to somebody that may know and have hands-on experience that can help kind of guide you is big. That My Chart situation, where they draw blood and they post the results before you can get a chance to talk to your doctor, and you in there matching your numbers with the numbers that's in the CDC, and now you just off the chain because everything is happening in your body, and then you talk to your doctor and they be like, everything's fine, and you done had like 3 heart attacks, a stroke, everything, like the whole thing. So guided information, right, is important. And starting that from the time you want to get pregnant, one, because ladies, it happens like late 40s, 50s, and even further back, but it is hard to get pregnant after a certain point, right? And in some instances, if you don't know your own body, it is hard to get pregnant in your 20s, in your 30s, right? So having somebody to walk through that education with you about even your body, and then when you get pregnant, having somebody to walk through, and then in the labor and delivery space, having somebody to help you walk through, and then somebody to walk through, because now you got to raise baby X and baby Z that want to run out and play in traffic, or want to throw food across the kitchen, or don't want to eat nothing but yogurt, or all of these different things, right? So educating yourself, because you'll feel isolated in your space, like you're the only one that is happening to, right? I'm the only one that's over here whose kid don't want nothing but a granola bar and a sip of juice. Or I'm the only one over here who my kid don't even want the breast, and they screaming bloody murder, and I think they constipated, and I think they this, and finding out, oh, that was all of us last night. You know how much better that makes you feel when somebody says you're not the only one. So what we're going to talk about tonight, and I'm going to have these ladies speak up as well, is who walks with you, right? Who's your village? We call ourselves home because our name is Hands of Melody, but we just do HOM. So when you're with us, you're home. You're walking with us, we're walking with you. It's a journey. We're all in the village. We can ask questions. We could be a safe space. We could do all of these things. who's your village? Who's walking and answering questions with you? Who are you calling at 4 o'clock in the morning when your child is running a fever and all the doctor want to tell you to do is come to the emergency room where everybody got COVID, the flu, and RSV, and now you going in there for a runny nose and you coming out with 12 issues. Like, who are you reaching out to? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So who you see in this room now, minus a couple of other faces, this is my go-to. Right? Even as a mother of 8, this is my go-to. This is who I'm calling when they had COVID. And this is who I'm calling when things are off the chain in my house. So our home, our village are the ladies that you see and hear. And I encourage you, if you are a mother on this journey and baby is still in utero or baby is under 2 years old, I would encourage you to reach out to us to create a village, right? To help you create a village. And if this is not your village, maybe we can connect you with another village, because we not for everybody. I'm just going to throw that out there. We not for everybody. And we understand we're not for everybody. We're a lot of dominant personalities in this group, right? So coming in and being a part may not be for everybody, but we can connect you to other people and get some resources. So I want to ask the mommies on here, what led you to look for answers, right? What led you to start searching for a doula, or if you started before, like what took you down your fertility journey, trying to figure out if you could get pregnant? Did you have issues? Like what started you into this process? I'm listening.
Start.
Go ahead, Sheree. Come on in the room.
Yeah, hi, y'all. I finally made a Winedown Wednesday. Can I just say I didn't even know this was the last one, and so the fact that I made the last one, I'm so super proud of myself, because I have been trying to make Winedown Wednesday since we came back. So I have a lot to say, as I always do. So what made me start? I think the question you said, what made me start looking for a doula, or was it before when I was thinking about getting pregnant?
Whichever one. Like, did you start the process before you got pregnant, or did you start once you were pregnant?
So I started the process, believe it or not, once I had a positive pregnancy test. So I'm a woman, advanced maternal age, and when I was trying to conceive, it's something you said earlier about having problems conceiving. When I started, i.e., when I wasn't using condoms and literally was trying to get pregnant, because my whole life I have not been trying not to get pregnant, even though sometimes, you don't always be protected. You still not trying to get pregnant. But anyway, when I started literally getting pregnant, I was shocked by how long it took, to be honest with you. I thought as soon as you have unprotected sex and you wished a fertilized egg, it would happen. So I was just shocked that it took as long as it did. When I got a positive pregnancy test, after I was happy, I was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Like wondering what my life would be, imagining how I would be as a mom, which, by the way, I was a perfect mom before I had a baby. Just throwing that out there. I was perfect in every way. After the initial excitement, then that's when I started doing a deep dive on Google about like the maternal Black women statistics. And my job, I actually worked sort of in the healthcare policy arena, and I already knew some of the statistics just from my job. So I was like, oh my God, let me go find a doula, because nowadays, I hate to say it's in vogue to have a doula, but more people are having one than they ever did now, because it's been a lot of articles and research showing how doulas can impact your birth outcomes. And so I was like, I'm not trying to die being this old, being pregnant. And so that started my search, and I did everything right, interviewing doulas, looking at doulas, shocked to see how much they cost. Shocked to see what different doulas offer at those price points. And then I actually went and hired a doula, paid the doula a significant amount of money, COVID really became a thing. They shut down hospitals. So the doula that I actually paid, she really couldn't do too much for me. And my OB put me in contact with Hands of Melody. And I remember the first conversation I had with Melissa, and she was like, I just got twins. I was like, oh, okay. She was like, join our chats and see. And I was so happy to even have that offer of help. And these ladies will tell you, I got in those doggone chats with my list of questions and all my fears. And I actually ended up using Hands of Melody more for my village and to make sure I wasn't the only one. And then when I had her, and I got introduced to the tragedy that is motherhood. And like, even to this day, I tell the ladies, oh my God, y'all, Gigi, my daughter's name is Gigi. Gigi is doing this, Gigi's doing that. Have y'all encountered this? Have y'all experienced this? And 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, somebody is dealing with that same exact issue. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. I remember when I went crazy with my first diaper rash, I called Melissa on FaceTime. Let's be clear. I did video chat with her so she can look at my daughter's diaper rash and tell me what's going on. I called Angie. I called so many people about this doggone diaper rash. So the idea of having a village and then getting multiple opinions from the village I just love it, because everybody has a different way of handling things. And my experience has been, you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, shake it up and see what falls out that works for your household. So that's my story. I'll be quiet now.
We love Cherie. When I tell y'all, when she says she showed up to the chat, and the chat she was referring to is we meet via Zoom during the week so that we can, share stories and all that stuff. When she showed up, she didn't even have her registry ready, and that everybody was like, nope. And the Amazon list started. Boy, like, don't buy this, buy this. Like, it was a lot of questions, but I'm glad, because what I found, as we do in most things, there's no stupid question, right? People are scared to ask the question because they feel like it's going to be a stupid question, or they're uneducated and they don't want people to know that they're uneducated. That's common. I don't care how many kids you have. Every pregnancy is different. You have the right to parent every child differently, right? And so to throw it all in a bowl and shake it up, that's exactly what we do. Because sometimes you find that you try this and then this don't work, then I'm gonna try this and then this don't work. But now in the group, as a proud mother, I must say, Cherie is now our go-to guru for products, right? The same Cherie that came in and had a million questions now has what we call Cherie's approved list. So when people come in, new people, they get a copy of this list and it's either Cherie approved or it's not. Like, no, I give it 3 stars. You could spend your money, but I wouldn't. It is amazing to see people come full circle. But then what you find out too is now wherever they are in the journey is more questions. So the worry doesn't stop. None of that stops. It changes and becomes different, right? And so because so many of us are in that 2-3-year-old space, we're all figuring out potty training together. And these last 2 for me are nothing like the older ones. So this is a complete different journey. So potty training is a thing. They won't eat is a thing. Them being small is a thing. Doctors talking about failure to thrive is like, all of those things are a thing. So diaper rash might not be it after a while because they're going to be in underwear. But then it becomes something else. Like, are they holding it too long? Is their stomach upset? Like, all of it. So it just rolls into different things. So as Cherie comes along, she's pulling people behind her, but there's people in front of her still pulling her. And you stay on this journey. That's what a village does, right? So I think that's where we differ a little bit, because a lot of doula spaces, they walk with you. You get checkups for like 6 weeks after. And then it's like, okay, so long, bye-bye, And I even know people that say after the contract ends after 6 weeks, if you want to call me and talk to me or ask me a question, then we need to recontract, because that's, and I get it for those that have to, and that's how you run your business. I get it. I'm talking about home now. That's just not what we do here, right? We want to stay connected. We talked about the other day. I want to be at graduations. I want to be at all the things. I want to be at birthday parties. Angie and me and her little person, I was there when she was born. I have a picture of her when she was 1, when she was 2, when she turned 3. Like, I want to put up on my wall and watch her grow, right? So that those are important to me, and the doulas that I hire are very family oriented. So that's what I'm looking for. Before I know that you could tell somebody push, because if we've all pushed, we could tell somebody else push. I want to know beyond the pushing what you're doing. So somebody else's journey Sheree, quick question. How long, you said you were trying, how long did you try before you actually got pregnant?
It was about 8 months.
Okay.
I want to say it was
Do
about
you know
8
that they
months.
say after 1 month, if you have not gotten pregnant, you should be seeing a doctor?
Yeah, so let me tell you, I asked my well, my sisters all told me that we come from a fertile stock, so I just knew any day to kick in. Um, but my gynecologist actually tested my ovarian reserve, and that test came back and said it was very good. So she told me just to, keep trying, and I think she said 6 months. To I think she had said 6, because at the time I wasn't in my 40s yet. I was 38, I think, when I went to go see her. And so so it took about 8 months, because we started in the fall. I had a positive pregnancy test by June. So I want to say 8 months or so of the following year.
So again, if you have questions, if you come from a history of everybody being fertile and you trying and nothing is happening, you need to I would talk to my physician before I even decided to get pregnant, if you can, because there are certain vitamins they want you to make sure that you're getting. There are certain things that they want you to try. And ladies, infertility is not always you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw that out there one more time. It's not always you. So if you are getting tested and everything is good, you're gonna have to test the stock that it's coming from, because it's not always you, right? So don't fall apart, and hopefully you have a partner that is willing to go through the process with you. And if it's not you, maybe do what it takes for them to have more of a reserve, because I can't do nothing by myself. These ain't no eggs in here, but those eggs that was in here, they couldn't get pregnant on their own, right? So I'm hoping that you have that experience. So who else?
Listen, can I just make one statement?
Yes.
It's kind of funny, but I gotta say it because I can't help myself. I feel like, because it took so long to get a positive pregnancy test, I remember thinking, I wish I would have enjoyed free balling sex a little bit more back in the day, like when I was in my 20s and 30s. You know what I mean? Like, if I knew it was gonna take that long, I would have been free balling a long time ago.
Just saying. I'm just saying, have some fun in the process. That's all we saying. I love Sheree. I can't say
But
that.
you know what? I would have been pregnant back then.
Yes, you probably would have been. All right, who's next? Who got something to say? Who? Somebody.
I would say, can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we had talked about, we were going to have, like, what our journey was going to be like as far as kids and stuff. We knew we wanted to start right away, right after we got married. But then we got pregnant right before our wedding, and it was an accident. So we were like, oh, okay, let's go. But I was kind of scared because my family that's here, their kids are way older. So I didn't have anyone locally that had any kids. Or my friends, everybody was out of state. Like, I had just relocated here. And my sister that had a child that's like a year and a half ahead of my pregnancy, she was in another state. and she could support, but she wasn't local. So, so every time I went to my OB, you know, she'd be like, any questions or whatever. She's like, okay, so, you know, how are you and your family or whatever. I was like, I guess I'll just figure it out. Like, you know, I just go in and be a little shy and not want to say anything. Like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure it, you know, and I had the weight of, okay, you're a woman, you're supposed to know this stuff, you know, so it's like, don't go asking or don't tell, you know, my fiance at the time. And then eventually, you know, my husband, like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of scared about this, and this. What's he gonna do? Like, you know, he didn't, nothing that he knows. So I joined all the apps, the baby centers, I forget, I still have them. I still have my Jaden folder that has everything, right? So I joined all of those, and that was what I was using initially: Baby Center, Huckleberry, Baby Connect, you know, the Wonder app, all the stuff, just to prepare myself. And I was in the chat listening to people talk and see what they're saying. And then I would ask my questions there. And one day I was leaving my doctor's office and she's like, here, how about you try a doula? Like, call them. I was like, huh? And my sister's a nurse, so I called her first and told her about it. She was like, oh, girl, if you could get a doula, you better get a doula. And she started telling about statistics of Black women. I was like, don't get me started. I already was scared about, you know, Black women in childbirth and all that stuff. She's like, call them. I was like, okay. So, yeah, I connected with Missy and joined the group and stuff. And yeah, haven't gotten rid of me yet. So it's been, I think, one of probably the second best decision I've made since I moved here, right? Just because I feel like my son, aside from my husband, my son is my world. He's everything to me. And the way that he came about and everything that has happened since he's been here with me and my health and stuff, like, it just solidified, like, he needed to be here, and the level of support that I needed and continue to need is just freely given from everyone. And my village is literally on this call, you know? So yeah, it's been great. And that's why I get very protective about the group and I tell everybody I know when they're pregnant, I'm like, do you have a doula? Are you local? Do you need some, you know, just like, you don't understand, you don't know what you're missing out on. And not all doulas are built the same. This is our little crew here. This is very, very different from what other doulas are offering out there. And if you find a little community of people, especially Black women, hold on to them. So yeah, so that's my story.
Yeah, Rachel is, how do I describe Rachel? Rachel is our in the movie Why Did I Get Married? Rachel is our Angela. And so she gonna be my go-to. She gonna tell me if your slip hanging. She gonna tell you if it ain't right, if it don't smell right, look right. That, and you need that, you know, you need your Sinclair, woo, 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 woo. And then you need to get yourself together, miss, because you are out of step. And so I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. And I love the whole family. And there are not many people that my husband connects with like that. He's a very social guy, but people that he asks about, Rachel's husband is one, right? And we talked about this too the other day, that in a village, it's nice when everybody can connect, because sometimes you get, the wife is crazy and you like, no, go ahead and hang out with your boys. And then you get, sometimes the husband is crazy, go ahead and hang out with your girl. It's nice when, even if they don't socialize, they support you being supported, right? So that's a big deal, because in a relationship, somebody saying, I don't want you hanging out with them, no matter how much you want to, you know, when you walk in those doors, if you got to battle the person in the doors to be supported by the people outside of the door, it's going to make it hard, right? So the support of a village is very important to the entire family, right? Whether the benefits are direct or indirect. And during this conversation, and I had a couple of tips I wanted to give you. So tip one was talk to your GYN before you get pregnant. Tip two, this is for all the doulas. And y'all can thank me later. When Rachel just said something we get this all the time. She got pregnant before she got married, right? So when I sign you up, if your last name is one thing, and I get to the hospital and it's something else, can you not have me show up and have the wrong last name? Because I've had nurses look at me. I'll be like, nobody here about that. Now I'm texting you in labor. Tell my girl, what is your last name this week? Who am I looking for? And then I gotta be like, oh yeah. They'd be like, yeah, she's in room 3. But now they done looked at me like, should we lock the hospital down? Are you here to kidnap a kid? Why are you here? Why you don't even know their last name? Like, that's a thing, right? So if you're going by a different last name, let a sister know. If that's your married name, but your insurance is still in your maiden name, and that's what you're gonna stay with, let me know who to ask for when I'm at the hospital. Because now you got me looking at the board, and they wonder why I'm looking at the board. And I take it somebody else's name. Is this a privacy violation? Hi, Miss Sweetface. Hi, Miss Sweetface. You just wanted to speak. It's okay. Mama not having fun. You can go to sleep. So tip 2, please tell us your last name. Anybody else got something?
I can share. I might have ran upstairs for the question when you were giving the questions, but I think I get it. So number 1, accidental, totally not on purpose, got pregnant on accident. Whoops. The doula side of things, I heard about it from my OB as well. I was leaving the doctor and they're like, oh yeah. And I think I was 6, maybe 7 months pregnant. And I was just like, okay, why not? Honestly, my whole pregnancy, I was just in like survival mode to the point where I did not even think about planning, or like, I was just trying to survive and be happy during the whole pregnancy. And I think after I had him, I joined the chats and you guys did help me with my registry. I didn't really have a lot of questions, but even you guys just pinging me like, hey, are you going to come on this week? Or, hey, the chat's going on. That felt really good, especially COVID, working from home, and just having like a support system of people who didn't even know me, but cared. And then afterwards, after I had my baby, Missy was my doula, and she always offered to come by and do that stuff. But I just didn't want to feel like a bother. So being able to put my question out to like a group of 15, 20 women instead of like, hey, Missy, hey, Missy, hey, Missy, hey, Missy, that was really helpful as well. And I trusted everyone's advice because I know that it probably came from one of the doulas on the team anyway. So I didn't feel like I always had to ping a doula for something. Like, we all just share advice. And I've had a lot of friends who've had babies and have questions and don't have a doula and aren't a part of this group, but I'll literally screenshot like, hey, someone else had this question in my mommy group, and give them a trusted answer. So just the support for you guys. I was planning my son's birthday party and literally just thought, like, if it weren't for this group, it would be a party of like 2 kids, because we don't know nobody. But my kid has had babies from the very beginning. My kid has had friends from the very, very, very beginning. And they're going to continue to have friends and continue to have family. And even when we just get together for holidays and we can bring our kids and we don't feel like, uh-oh, can we bring our kids? Like, that whole environment is just really something I'm grateful for.
Yay, I love it. I love it. I love it. And as I told Nick back then, and as I continue to say, you are not bothering me. This is what I chose to do. If you get a doula that makes you feel like you're bothering them, you probably need to get a different doula. I'm just throwing it out there, because pregnancy is all over the place. It is, you find today and then you wake up tomorrow and you feel like your whole left side is gone numb, or you got pain going from your back of your butt all the way down to your ankle, and you ain't never felt that before. And I mean, all kinds of things. Round ligament pain make you feel like you full on in labor, and you go to the hospital and they be like, nope, it's just round ligament pain. But if you called your doula and there was some suggestions and some things to do and some questions, might save yourself a trip to the hospital. Just
and Rachel said too, like in her appointment, they'd ask if she'd have questions and she would be like, no, probably had like 3, but no, wasn't going to ask. And then I think like there's a feeling like you should know it all. So you don't want to ask the question. And in my situation, I was like, how old am I? I was like 25, not that young, but I felt so young to the point where like, I didn't want to ask a question. And they like, see, this is why you don't need to be having no baby anyway. So I was like, I'm not asking nobody nothing, like, because I don't want to seem like it's a stupid question or any of that. So that was my situation.
Yes, regardless of whether or not somebody feel like you should be pregnant or not. If you're pregnant, you have a right to ask every question that you have. Doctor, doula, friend, mama, whoever it is, you should be able to get all your questions answered. Like and if they're making you feel like you shouldn't, then you gotta really question some things. So so the next tip, if you pick a OBGYN and they don't allow doulas, pick a different OBGYN. I'm just gonna throw that out there because I'm getting that more and more. Signs on the door at my OBGYN center, they do not allow doulas at their practice. They won't work with doulas. What is it that we know that they don't want you to know? What questions are we asking that's gonna make you go back and ask them questions? I ain't telling you nothing different. I'm telling you all the information. A is not usually your only option. Sometimes you might be able to make it all the way down to E as your options. But for this particular care provider, A might work best, right? Come in, because I tell everybody to come in. We're not letting nobody go to 40 weeks because it's too much trouble. You be in labor and then like, why? Give me a why. Because I'm 40. Tell me why. If you're saying that it's because of my age, explain that to me in numbers. Tell me what the research shows. Tell me what's best practices. Tell me what boxes I'm checking in that 40 and over category. Do I have high blood pressure? Do I exercise regularly? Do I eat? All the different things, and then say, okay, so you're not really checking any boxes, but we have found that. Give me that information and then let me make my own decision, right? So if you're working with a physician that doesn't want you to know or any of that, question everything, like everything. Just tell them my next appointment going to be 45 minutes. My insurance going to pay for 15 and I'm going to take the other 30 because I got all the questions. Just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. Anybody else want to say whatever? Because I got tidbits for everybody.
So I always knew before I got pregnant, I knew that I wanted a doula. I knew that that was a must for me, only because I have friends who went through things that they should not have went through during their pregnancy. So I knew that I was going to have a doula because I was one of them ones who was terrified to go to the hospital and get treated a certain way, even though that happened, but I had my doula. So we were good. But I had a whole plan on when I wanted to start getting pregnant because I wanted, this is gonna sound crazy, but it's true. I wanted to be out of work in the wintertime. Like I didn't want to have to go into the office, so I was like, I want to have my child in November so I can be home November, December, January, and February.
Go.
But that didn't happen because my husband had other plans. So that plan went out the window. But when I can tell y'all, I know exactly when I got pregnant. July 15th is when it happened. So yeah, that
Me
plan.
too. I blame him.
So, but I knew I wanted a doula. And when I went to the doctor, they told me about Hands of Melody. And I was so excited because I hadn't even started the process of looking for a doula because I really didn't know where to start. So when they told me, oh, yeah, you can get a free one, you're a first time mom. I'm like, yeah. They were like, oh yeah, it's free. We have this grant. So I was like, wonderful. But when I left out, they did not give me the information. So when I went back, I had to ask that. I was like, so you told me that like there was a program, but I don't have the information. So they end up giving it to me when I left, and I called Missy, and I don't even know if she remembered our first conversation, but I was so excited before I even called her. And she told me about the chat, and I think I talked to her on a Wednesday, and I was on the chat on Thursday.
Yep.
I was there and ready. And honestly, like the rest is history, because I didn't have family in the area. My closest family member was my mom. She was in Richmond. And that was like one of my fears, is that who would I lean on? So I did a lot of praying, and God made it work, because my mom ended up working from my home, because she was 100% telework. So I had her there from really my third trimester, the end of my third trimester. She came up here February, and she's been here ever since. So, and then I have this wonderful village of folks who I love to death. So it doesn't get any better than this. Like, this is literally everything I prayed for, because this is what I prayed for, and he gave me exactly what I needed.
Didn't try to make people cry. Don't do that tonight. It's too late in the evening for puffy eyes. Like, I do remember our first conversation. That conversation was, she was like ready. Like, okay, so you gonna send me the link? Like, and she was there the next day. We had fun with Sheena's pregnancy though, because we did belly casting, and like she took advantage of everything, and it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. And I always laugh. My husband and I laughed. I said, because I think when I came in, her husband was giving me the side of like, who is this chick? Like, what's she really here for? And now he speaks to me by name. Like, oh, I think I reached my comeuppance. We good over here. So I love it. Listen, my goal when I come in is to win over the partner and the mother-in-law, right? Those are my two goals. Because if you get the partner and the mother-in-law, you are in there like swimwear. And I have not had I met Sheena's mom, and we connected like, hey, like, and so the support that Sheena had from the time we walked into the hospital with us, for as ridiculous as the hospital was, when we walked in, she still had her protection around her. And that's good. When the people in your circle can connect like that, it is always an amazing thing. So let's see. Oh, next tip. If you hire a doula that only takes you based on what they think you should be doing in your pregnancy and your birth, do not hire her. Right? And I say that because I'm meeting more and more people that say, oh, I don't take people that have epidurals. I'm sorry. I only take moms that breastfeed. I'm sorry, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? So if you are hiring support to support you, we're coming in the door to support whatever your ideas of birth are, whatever decisions you are making for your little person. It is not our baby. It is not our body. It is not our choice. We should be there for you. So if I give you a list of things that I don't support, I'm probably not your doula. Now, if you want to be, and we've had this, somebody that was going to use smoke marijuana as a pain control during the labor process, that's not for me. I can't be in a room with cigarette smoke without choking to death, because I'm asthmatic, right? So if you say that to me, then it's my job now to say, oh, we can't, what? No, let me find you a doula that is comfortable with that choice, right? So if they don't tell you I can't do this, but I can find you support, because more and more, that is people's use of pain control. Y'all know we are in the era of where marijuana is becoming legal in more and more places, and there are different ways to use it for pain control, for people that have really bad anxieties and different things like that. Well, if that's something that we're sharing and that is your choice, it is not for me to tell you no. You were talking to your provider, you were working with your care team. They're okay with this, you're okay with this. It just doesn't work for me personally, but I can then get you someone that is comfortable supporting that. So that is on the drastic side, but I have had that conversation. And not only that, it's my job to make sure that you are fully educated on those things, right? I'm so stressed. I just want to have a glass of wine and I'm 4 months pregnant. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write that question down. When is your next appointment? I want you to have that conversation with your provider. If you're so stressed out that you got to, like, I can't wait another 6 weeks to see my OB, let me put you in contact with a midwife that I know. You can get that question answered. Let's see where you are and meet you where you are. If you're not finding a doula that is going to do that, that is not your doula. Not that they're not a good doula, not that they're not somebody else's doula. They
And
might not
Missy,
be yours.
you did that for me. You gave me support that was like the support that I didn't really want but needed, but you were educating me. It was like the end of my pregnancy. My baby was getting like huge and I'm real small, and I was like begging. Never thought I'd be like, take them out now, induce me. And my doctor was saying no. And I remember like being so upset and talking to you, and you educated me and explained to me. You were like, look, you're not at the safe window yet. You know, your due date and all that stuff is an estimate. So if it's an estimate of 2 weeks and you're really 35 weeks instead of 37 or whatever number we were at, that was not safe. You walked me through it and you educated me. And then you just told me to like, trust my body. Your body makes the size baby that's right for you, which I still was like, yeah, we gonna have a C-section. But I needed that education because I was really hurt. I was like, my doctor's not listening to me. Like I was getting scared. I was getting scared of all the things I heard about. And when you explained to me that it really was in the best interest of the baby and like just trust my body, that was support. That was not like just being a yes man, but fully educating me and letting me get out that conversation that I didn't feel like I could ask the doctor because I already rush you and all that other stuff. So I appreciate that.
Yes, I'm glad, and I want to be that, right? I'm not a yes man at any essence of my life, any place in my life. I'm gonna give it to you. What you do with it is what you do with it, right? Because every person that I birthed with, I have 5 daughters capable of having babies. I want somebody to give them the same advice that I would give them, because I'm mom. They gonna listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't care how long I've been doing this. They ain't gonna listen to nothing I got to say. I'm treating you like I want somebody to treat them on this side of things. So we're not always going to like what our parents give us, but I think sometimes when we think about it, it can be received better if we give it to us in a way that we're giving choices and not telling you what to do. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I love you, Nick. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share when, if they decided, the question was, did you start looking into the process of getting pregnant beforehand? And then when did you decide that you wanted a doula? What made you decide that you want a doula? Anybody else?
We unmuting at the same time. So I think double dutching with mute. I went in, I think, playing with the idea of a midwife when I found out I was pregnant, and my PCP sent me to the OB, and I was like, okay. And so I remember coming out of the first appointment with her being like, oh, so do you all like do work with like midwives or anything? She's like, oh no, we don't do that, and then walked away. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so that was the end of it, because I don't know, like there was no conversation about a doula, and midwife is the term that I always hear about and I'm most familiar with, right? And I feel like that's probably the case for most people. And then I think maybe 3 visits later, so I saw her, and then I ended up with somebody else, and then I came back to her in two after 3 visits with this particular doctor. So it was really 4 doctors visits. I was preparing to leave, and she was like, "Wait, how old are you?" And I'm 37. And this your first baby? Yes. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh girl, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I had my first baby at this age, and you just need to get a doula and do this. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we got a program. Just ask the front desk. And so I went to the front desk, and it was like, oh no, like as soon as you sign up with us, we send your information out. And I was like, oh, okay. Not realizing that I had actually received a call and a text, but no one in the office said, hey, you should be looking for a message. And so all I kept seeing was like, hi, Shayla, this is such and such. And I'm just reaching, and I'm like, I don't know this person, ignore. I'm not responding back. And so after the front desk said that, then I got the call from Melissa, and I was like, oh, it's the same company. Oh my gosh, this is great, because that is also like the time by then, like COVID is happening, the world is shutting down. And I'm like, oh, I'm not having no baby in no hospital. We're not doing this. And so it was a back and forth between me and Wallace, because I was like, I don't want to be in a hospital. And he was like, no, I can't risk it. If I go in with 2 people, I'm coming out with 3. I don't care what this looked like. So I can't, no. And so like midwife was completely off the table. And so this, like the doula option was such a godsend, because it kind of functioned as our halfway compromise. And then later down the line, once we went with Dawn as our doula, then it was just like, it's not, I just want to be the one.
I love it.
Okay, I just want to be the one to offer the support. Like, I want to be the one to do like the apple shaking, and I want to be the one to do this. I mean, your doula coming by showing you all these things, but I don't want her doing it. I want to do it. And I was like, okay. And so sure enough, when we were in there, she sat back just like, hey, do this, until he said I start yelling at him, but I wouldn't yell at her. And so it's just like, okay. But yeah, so, and I'm gonna go back on mute because of that person.
Oh, with the dinosaur. Hey, you. Hey, you. You know they gotta speak. What Dr. Wortham say, you always acknowledge little faces when they come onto the chat. So we make sure that we acknowledge them. So, Angie.
I don't remember what the original question was, but for us, I'm about like Cherie said, had she known it would take so long, we probably would have been having a lot more fun. So we weren't trying, nor were we avoiding. We were in a position to where I was having issues with birth control and causing me to, you know how when your blood pressure is at a certain rate, that's the first thing they do is take you off birth control. So that's where we were. So it was kind of like one of them things. We've been married 10 years, 10 years, somewhere like that. It happens, which I doubt it will, because I kept getting threatened with shit. I know y'all can hear that. Hold on. I kept getting threatened with Shady Grove from my OB at the time. As in, oh, you haven't gotten pregnant. It's probably about time to call Shady Grove. But we weren't like trying, if that makes sense. It wasn't a big deal for me. It was just kind of like, okay, we've been having unprotected sex for a year and nothing's happened. So little did I know that appointment where he gave the last Shady Grove comment, I was pregnant sitting in his office that day. Yes, I tell the story all the time. So I just happened to take a test like a week after the appointment, and I was pregnant. And then just kind of started having conversations. I think I tell y'all this all the time. I shared outside of home, I shared my pregnancy with 7 other women that were in my circle pregnant at the same time. So I was able to we were able to lean on each other, because I think all of us except one, it was our first. So we were leaning on each other. And I remember one of my friends who opted to have a home birth recommended the OB that I ended up going with. And that OB serviced the majority of home moms. And just randomly one day, the front desk person, who I won't name, but I love because I know she's not there anymore, she just randomly was like, hey, you might, want to check this out. You interested in this? Do you want to doula? I was like, I don't even know what it is. Like Shayla said, you throw the midwife and the doula, you don't know which one do what. You just don't know. So it was kind of like, okay, yeah, okay, cool, I'll try it. Got the little pamphlet or whatever, called the number, looking at the pamphlet, and I'm looking like 919. Wait a minute. This person lives in North Carolina. They're from North Carolina, and I'm born and raised in North Carolina. So I'm like, okay, so we're gonna see how this goes. So we had our I think we did a Zoom first. And then I was blessed. I was fortunate enough, which Shayla reminded me Tuesday, to be one of the original in the village. But I was fortunate enough to be able to take advantage of the in-person meetings before it got to Zoom, because I came in pre-COVID. So I think I maybe went to like one or two of the meetups or whatever, just got introduced to everybody that was part of the team at that time to choose our doula. Ultimately, we went with Melissa. And that's the one that me and my husband both connected with. And like she told y'all, and I'm not going to get emotional, we're not doing this. She has literally been a part of our life since before Rory was here. And like I was saying, and I say this to the new moms when they come in, I really didn't know what I had at the beginning. So I was even with Melissa, I had that kind of stance where it was questions I didn't ask because I didn't want to be a bother. She would always volunteer to come all the way down here to PJ. No, I don't want you to drive that far. I don't want you to do that. That's just too much. Like, that was me in the beginning. So I really did not take advantage of the village in the beginning as much as I could have. So that's why I try to encourage those that do come in. This is gold. Like, this is gold. And like Shayla said Tuesday, we set that standard of saying, we'll help you from conception up to 2 years, baby. My baby gonna be 4 in February, and I still call Melissa. So look, we paying overtime at this point, but yeah. So I that's how my home story came about, and I'm happy to be a part of this group. And even outside of being in the group due to having a baby, the sisterhood that's being created outside of it is blessing me because I don't have my family here. So just to know that I have people to lean on if I need it. We are totally unrelated to babies and everything. 4 of us here, 5, went to, worship together. So it's just like, even that outside of, doing the things with the babies and gathering and everything, it's just good to have just good, clean, wholesome relationship with like-minded individuals. So I'm thankful for all of you guys on this call.
Shopping tips, movie tips.
Yeah, everything. And we already planning for the color purple. Like, it's a thing. Like, it's a thing. So
we're gonna be there.
Yeah. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to support where I can and be pushed to do all the Mother Rouse stuff. And I'm resigning on everything. But nevertheless, that's my tidbit. So I do encourage. I talk about home all the time. Like, my village this, my village that, my village this, my village that. So yeah.
And we love Angie. Angie got drafted long time ago. I think Angie drafted herself. So I'm not even going to say that I drafted Angie. Angie was looking at some of the stuff that I was doing on social media. And like, her eye was twitching, right? So let me say this. Mother's in her 50s. I am in my 50s. So while I have certain technical capabilities, I do not have the average, millennial technical capability, right? I remember when AOL came out, we had the little spinning dude. Shake your head, Denise, because you know what I'm talking about. When we had the little AOL dude running, so all of that, I remember the first cell phone that went from here to here, and you talk, and it was like a satellite phone. I was doing all of that stuff. So the fact that I can check my emails and do a little something, y'all ought to be happy. But 90% of what y'all see is not me. I'm not even gonna lie. That's Angie. I'll send it to Angie, and then Angie sends me back an eyeball or something, which means no, don't do that. Don't post it. Don't, or she'll call me like, take it down right now. So again, what y'all see now, the outro, I'm gonna throw this disclaimer out there again. Angie had nothing to do with the outro tonight because she was being a mom to her little person. So I was left unsupervised. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Anywho, Angie has been my go-to person, my social media director, whatever you want to call. And when the Lord give me my ultimate blessing, I'm taking Angie with me. So I'm just saying, I love Angie, and I'm glad that she was in the room when we were doing it in person, because that gave us a greater chance to connect before people's lifestyles got horrible, when we all got to sit in the same room and the men went in the back and the ladies stayed up front. And so I'm definitely grateful for the friendship. And Angie not gonna tell me a flat out no like Rachel, but she gonna give me a slow no, like we not doing that, like real, like laid back and subtle. So I appreciate it. I need those friends, right? I need all of those friends, and I'm so appreciative. I didn't know when I started the Hands of Melody portion, because being a doula for 30 plus years, I was solo. It was just me. I just go. But then when I started the company in 2019, I did not know that we were going to be blessed with the twins. And so I'm thinking I'm coming in to support you all, and y'all looking at me going, you got brand new babies. So the group has kind of been my saving grace as well, because I was locked down on COVID with 2 babies and all of this stuff too. So I'm grateful for the support of this group. I have individual stories from everybody. I remember first phone calls. I remember, different things that y'all don't remember. I got a whole wall that I got all of your babies' pictures on the other side of my computer, because it means that much to me. Denise is again one of the doulas that is a part of home that's taking care of the newer families and some of the newer mommies. But you got to know that I asked the questions. Like, I want to know where Denise's heart was. Are you a family person? Or can you show up at a hospital? And Denise lives like I do. She don't live close to none of y'all, right? So I'll be like, Denise, stay home. Don't leave yet. And she text, should I leave? No, don't leave yet. Like, hold on. And then I get a text. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to be close. Like, if I got to sit at a McDonald's, I got to sit at a Dunkin', and just in case she need me, I'm going to be. And that's what I would do. Like, I would go, if I had to sit downstairs in the hospital lobby, just to be close in case you called. That's the type of doula that I need on my team, right? And Angie's right. We did say birth to 2, but we're going to be here. We ain't going nowhere. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Find a doula as early as possible. If you can get one before you get pregnant, have conversations before you get pregnant. I've gotten them at the hospital with their legs open. So it's never too late to call a doula. Like, this person been trying for hours. They don't want to have a C-section. Can you see what you can do? Yes, we can get in there and shake some apples and make some stuff happen and hopefully get these babies out. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes a C-section is necessary. C-section is not a dirty word when it's a necessity, right? When it's life-saving, when it's saving your mental space and your physical space. It is not a dirty word. But know that if you weren't planning a C-section, now I got to deal with this. Your physical body, I can do all of that stuff. But this up here, you need a doula. If you planning a C-section, you need a doula. Don't let your OBGYN tell you you don't need a doula. You do need a doula for different reasons. midwife, and I've heard that brought up a couple times. People don't know the difference between a midwife and a doula. The midwife is the hands-on medical professional. He or she is going to deliver your baby. They're going to do all the things that an OB would do hopefully in a holistic manner, more listening to your body and letting it. I'm dealing with your emotional state. I'm dealing with everything on the outside. So if we need to flip a baby, I got to flip you. If we need to do I'm doing everything physically to you from the outside, mentally and physically, and they taking care of all the rest. So doulas and midwives are very different. Angie, I saw your hand.
No, I just wanted to touch on two things you said, and even the conversation that we have going on in the chat about the dad perspective. I remember when we used to have those in-person meetings, and my husband would go in the back and the moms would stay up front, and it was kind of like he would come back, well, what did y'all talk about? I'm not telling you what we talked about, so it's just like, to have that, to know that my husband is being supported wholly as well as me. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about the importance of having a doula, especially as a first-time mom, is because you don't know what you don't know. And even still to this day, we get on the chats on Tuesdays now and still figuring out stuff at different stages. And I didn't even know what a birth plan was until I got a doula. Never heard of it. Didn't think about it. Didn't think it was a thing. Didn't even know the purpose of it. But being that education piece of being informed, because you just simply, you don't know. And even in that birth plan and planning, having somebody such as your doula, which Melissa did, to support you in that plan, to know that things may or may not change, to be prepared for the pivot if it has to happen, and knowing what that looks like, because you can prepare to go, I'm going to be unmedicated, I'm going to push this baby out, and I'm going to breathe, and you get in that moment, and it could be completely different. And you have to shift to that, and your story may not end up the way that you thought it would, but having somebody there to kind of walk you through what that will look like, what that's going to feel like, and to know that at the end of the day, and I say this now, and I look at postpartum, and like Cherie said it, I was a perfect mother before I had a baby. And even with that, I was a perfect support person before I had a baby. I look at the postpartum phase completely different now. I won't be the first one to run up to the hospital uninvited. I'm not about to come over your house and sit and hold the baby while you over here probably still bleeding, still hurting, that's just not, I'm just not going to do that anymore. So to have learned so much during this process and during this season, and during, like, just to learn so much and be able to support the next person. And my famous line now is when people get pregnant or they're trying to hurry up and have the baby, they tired of carrying the baby. Healthy mommy, healthy baby. Like, that's like the whole thing I say now. Like, that's like my mantra. Healthy mommy, healthy baby. By any means necessary, the baby's gonna get here. And so long as both of y'all are healthy, that's all that matters at this point. I know you're gonna have to process a lot, but listen, trust me on this. So that, I just wanted to touch on that when you brought it up. I wanted to talk about having, your birth plan, because those are things that you just don't know what you don't know. So
and
I do
even
want to,
after the fact, like having that support from the group, obviously, but even your doula to process what happened.
Yes.
To you. I know we've had a mom come on and she shared more than once that after her C-section, there's a huge chunk of time that she's missing. Mm-hmm. And even just her having that conversation, I'm like, oh, you are so right, because I don't think I saw my baby for a while. Like, I don't even know. It's so much that goes on, like, right after you have the baby. And you're right. I'm a better support person. Like, when you birth Hands of Melody, I'm sure you were like, oh, I'm going to have a team of 5. No, Missy, you have created a team of a whole bunch of us. I'm a much better support person. Someone in our family just had a baby, and I reached out to her and said, we're in 2 different states. And I just was like, I know you've got your mom, I know you've got your sister, but if you want to talk about anything, and I'm glad I did open that door, because we texted for hours, like paragraphs to each other. She literally had questions. And I view, like, even just in the grocery store, like, you see pregnant people, you're like, oh, cute. I see pregnant people in the store and I'd be like, girl, are you okay? Like, do you need help? Like, can I hold anything for you? Even if they're like this much pregnant, like just a little bit. I remember I like passed out in Sam's Club one day, barely pregnant. No one even knew. And it just, your body's changing so much. It's never too early to get a doula. It's never too late to get a doula. And when you have a doula like we've had, there's so many more connections, like from the fun stuff to the informational stuff to now Winedown Wednesdays to weekly chats to blog posts to Cherie's best list of travel tips and everything else. You get so much. And to Sheen's point, pray. Like, this is not anything I think any of us like knew we needed. Like, even if you were a doula, I don't think none of us could have ever thought this up. I literally was just in survival mode for pregnancy. I think I've used my doula in this group way more like after I've had a baby. And I don't think that's how anyone even thinks of a doula. And maybe we're not there yet, but you're doing that. And it's really, really awesome to see. And we're going to keep sharing how amazing it is, because everyone needs this.
Yeah. I like the way you said that, Nick, how she really like trained us up in essence. Like, I'm telling you, man, it's just
right. I'm not a lactation consultant, but like, I'll be a lactation consultant. I have enough of trauma
exactly
that I'm like, I can help you with that. Angie was like the pumping queen. Like, we all have something that you've built us up in a way to be able to confidently speak about what we went through and share it with other people from the support that you and your team has given us. And now I'm happy that we're able to be a team and help other moms and continue to help each other and just make you proud of what you created.
Yeah. It's funny because just today I texted the new mom. I was like, you laid the bags flat before you froze them, right? So that you can save freezer space. Like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, little things like that, where, because her freezer is filling up fast because mama is 2 weeks. No, she'll be 2 weeks postpartum Saturday. And she's already getting 6 ounces from both boobs. 2 weeks.
Yes.
And and exactly. I was like, girl, that's amazing. And she was like, my freezer is just like filling up so fast, because she's nursing the baby and then waiting and pumping, just, So I was like, baby, you need to make sure you're freezing that milk flat so that you can stack more. So like little things like that is like, how would I have known that before? Like, you would have just been pumping and just putting the milk in the freezer and not, thinking nothing of it. But
I think I said it last week too. Like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rachel.
No, I was gonna say I said it last week, and I always say it's a Cherieism, because I remember early on, Cherie used to be like, okay, I have a question, and you guys may have talked about it, but I wasn't listening, so now it applies to me. I want to know about it. And I caught myself doing the same thing when we got into the potty training thing, because then it's like, even if what everyone's talking about may not be the space that you're in at that time, when you get to that space, you remember, and you're like, oh yeah, my girl talked about it. And it's so quick. Whereas before, I feel if I didn't have this, I would have been like, who do I call? Who do I ask? Ask my mom. Just like, got a 30-plus-year-old kid, or my sister, a 16-year-old, so it's like, oh, yeah, we talked about it. And they're like, yeah, here's the tips. And even now, like our chats, we have, we're so organized. We're so like low-key, high-key organized. But like, we have our little groups and stuff, our little rooms that we could go to and reference materials and stuff. Like, now my kid gets sick, I'm like, here's a cocktail. Let's go. Whereas before, I was in the doctor's office in patient care and all that kind of stuff, like every second. They're like, yeah, he just has a cough. I'm like, yeah, but he's coughing for a week. Yeah, it's going to take a while. Just, he's fine. You can't give him medicine. Can you give him medicine? No. Now I'm like, oh, you want water? Like, you're good.
But like, y'all are my fact checkers.
Yes.
Like, I was like, no, because I heard. I don't even say like the moms or like the mommy group. I'm just like, no, because everybody says that this and this and this, or it'll be like, but the doctor said, no, because the
Right.
mom said. And so like
Mhm.
it supersedes like what the doctors say. And I think part of that has also been because both during pregnancy and then after, like when we would gather and be like, so my doctor said, and then it'd be like, that don't make no sense. Like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
take whatever it was, the doctor recommending some cocktail, and it was like, but that's going to induce false labor. Well, why is my doctor recommending I drink some concoction that's going to trigger labor months early? It's like, oh, never mind. And so those kinds of things where I didn't even use, I stopped using Dr. Google as like my first recourse to check. It was like, wait, let me see, what's everybody say?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, it's 3 a.m. I guess I'll go and I'll Google it so that everybody can sleep. But yeah,
There's
you better
always
use that
somebody else.
There's
certainty
always
test.
always
somebody
There's a
checking.
certainty test.
yes, because I think when I messaged
Mhm.
like, hey, anybody up at 4 a.m, because we couldn't, like we was up with Elijah screaming because he was constipated. And I was like, I don't know what to do. The poop, I can see it. It's stuck. Oh my gosh, it's so dry. It's crumbling. Help me, help me. And Angie was like, just do this. And so calmly. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. Okay. But yeah.
Love it. I love it. But see, what y'all don't realize is you all are taking Hands of Melody where I can't, right? I can't be everybody's doula, but it's also a different generation, right?
part.
So when we plan stuff, I can't send out text messages to 72 people asking stuff. Rachel was like, I'll just take a poll. And she puts it up there. When we're hitting the same conversations, potty training,
Yeah.
food, travel, she's like, why don't we just put it in a separate, like the things that my mind has not come full circle into 2023 because of where my generation, right? And that's what I think with our grandparents, they had not working hands-on knowledge. They just didn't know really how to share it. And then my generation and those just a little bit younger than me were like, no, we need this information. And then my generation says, how do we get it out there? And then your generation says, look, this is how we do it, right? So for me, I have information and I can show up at somebody's house and in a birthing space and give you all the wonderful tips, but I'm only being effective in that one room, right? So if I affect change with 30 women, they can then take it back for those that can't afford a doula, those that don't know how to get a doula, those that are not savvy enough to look up the different things. And then when those things fail, call Melissa, call Dawn. Then now we can have phone call. I'm good with phone calls. I know how to work a phone. I know how to work a phone with a cord. I know how to work a phone with an antenna. And I know how to work a phone you got to charge. I'm good with that, right? So now you can bring it into my lane, be like, slow it down. Let's call Melissa, because Melissa knows how to answer her phone, and I can answer it. Come on, y'all know I know how to work the phone.
You'll text Melissa, she'll pick you'll 2 seconds later after you text her, the phone ringing, it's her.
Listen, don't do that. Don't Denise, because they being rude. I saw your hand. They being real rude right now, but it's all right. Go ahead. What Denise? I'm listening.
You're on mute.
Okay,
Denise.
here we go. I am so happy that all of you have had an opportunity to have a doula. I didn't have a doula, and I feel a little bit envious right now. You know, my youngest is going to be 18 in 2 weeks, and I feel a little envious. But even in my journey as being a doula, I have been shaped and molded by the experiences and even the things that I've learned. And one thing that has stuck with me is that birth is not a medical event. Birth is a human event. And yes, we do sometimes need medical intervention, but every time, 100% of the time, you need human intervention, interaction. And that's what's so special about having a doula. And being a doula, because you can offer that. That's always going to be needed. The same way that after giving birth and after your child is past 2 years old, you still need that human intervention and interaction, because we're doing life and we need to do life together. And the more the merrier of doing life together. So yeah, you have a whole hospital staff and you have your spouse and you have maybe your mom. You still need a doula.
I like that. It's not medical, it's life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's money. That's why it became medical, right? Because the more money, the more medical, right? And if we can take it all the way to a C-section, sometimes you can get double what you can when you get those that show up and like, oh, I gotta push. And then you push a baby out and I take you to mother baby. I give you a couple of pills and I take you and the baby's temp and I send you home. That's this much money. But if I can do surgery, now you need a surgical tech and you need this one, you need that one, you need all these different things. Mm-hmm. It's a snowball effect, right? So that's another reason I say if you get somebody that says we don't work with doulas, we don't work with midwives, we don't not into that holistic stuff, you gotta ask questions. Why? Because if it's best for your patient, then it should be best for your patient, right? Mm-hmm. So that's that. So my last tip is, again, find a village, right? Because the common theme in all of us was we came together for one reason, because somebody was pregnant. Somebody was pregnant, trying to get pregnant, get ready not be pregnant no more, like whatever. Pregnancy was right in the circle of all of that. But in the midst of it, we all found lifetime friends, we found family, we found sisterhood for the husbands or partners that were able to connect or whatever. They don't meet nearly like we do, but they text each other, they talk to each other, they have that support if they ever need it. We found relationship. You can do nothing successful in life without relationship. Right. So find your circle, find your village, find your doula, find your family, find your sister, your best friend, your girl, you need to go somewhere and sit down. You need to find all of that because, again, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Right. So even though it's my name on the company, if I'm just out here freewheeling and freeballing, as Cherie said, and being out in these streets, being reckless, my witness is becoming less effective, right? A poor man's wisdom is despised. So if I'm over here acting, wilding, all that kind of stuff, ain't nobody listening to me, right? So you gotta build your circle. You gotta build that circle of trust. Again, I say December is approaching quickly and mother will not be attending birth regularly. I just won't be, but this will continue. This group setting, this making sure that there is a doula present on site, but you can still always get to me to ask a question or to whatever, I'll still be there. But if I'm going to kind of step back, I got to make sure that the people that I'm putting in the foreground are going to give you that same at 3 o'clock in the morning. My baby got a fever. Okay, you got at least 2 or 3 people answering you. And that's what you need. That is what you need, because urgent care is not what you need at 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody in there got COVID or the flu or RSV or something nasty and I can't identify it and I don't want my child to have it. But I want to talk to you when my child is licking whatever they licking on the playground, building their immune system, and now I'm freaked out. And you telling me sit down somewhere because, yep, them gonna build it.
Because you know my famous line when I call you, I need to know if I need to go to the hospital or if I can do this at home.
And my answer most of the time is just do it at home. If she don't spike a fever, don't even just do it at the house.
Do it at home.
No Robitussin cure, everything. That's what grandparents used to say. Oh,
let us sip a little.
Vicks on their chest and under their nose. Put a little onion in their sock. And they be all right in the morning. All of that. You need all of that. You need the old people. You need the young people. You need the people in between. You need all of that. All of that. So Denise, you have the final comment, and we are gonna say goodnight to the audience because some people have to. For y'all that is still viewing us live, hi.
Thank you.
And we're still in here. Y'all are still listening, and we so appreciate you. We are gonna say goodnight though, because we gonna. There's some low people still up because I think I keep hearing mine, and I think they still
mine
up.
isn't. Mine is singing. She's playing hide and go seek by herself.
Okay, it's
She's
okay.
hiding and counting.
Okay, well, she gonna
All
go
right.
find us. It's all right.
So
Denise?
I'll say this in listening to everyone and discussing this. One thing I keep seeing is, when you see a lion walking through a field and they're by themselves, you're not gonna you wouldn't go up and mess with that lion, right? That one lion. But when you see a lion with the whole pride all around them, and you see the little babies all in the middle of in between them, but they're all surrounded, you don't mess with a tribe. They are powerful, especially to take care of those little ones that are mixed into that,
Our pride.
This is our tribe, this is our pride, and nobody's going to mess with that. And we're going to look out for each other, and we're going to be there for one another, and we're going to raise these little ones together.
I love it.
Love it. And Cherie, yes. Cherie says she now gives better baby shower gifts. That's true. Because they don't need a dollar store bottle. They don't need that. So stop showing up with the dollar store or the basket that you put together that everything in it costs $1. She don't need that. I'm gonna be
I
that
had
one.
to say that, Melissa, because like I said, I thought I was the best parent, was going to be the best mom. I just knew everything before I had a baby. And I'm thinking about some of the baby shower gifts I gave in the past. It was like, like what? But now I just gave a baby shower gift. Y'all, guess what I gave? I just got to tell y'all what I gave because I'm so proud of myself. I bought the Dr. Knows Best.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Okay, I bought that. Plus, that little kit, y'all know the little kit they sell everywhere. The little sick time kit, it comes with the gas stuff, the Tylenol or Motrin, whatever the pain medicine is, all the little stuff. I got
swear,
that.
I have gifted so many humidifiers in the last 3 years. It's not.
Yeah. Like that's the stuff you're going to need. Because that's the stuff that I needed 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think to buy baby Tylenol or baby Motrin. What am I going to do? And it was nice to rip that open, go in my stash of baby shower gifts and find some medicine.
Find your group, y'all. Because I'm telling you, when the formula shortage hit, we was looking out for each other. Hey, this one got formula. Anybody need me to get like 12
I forgot about that.
I'll meet up with you. Find your pride. Find your pride.
I mean, it happened. Was it just last year or the year before when they had the shortage of Motrin and stuff?
Yes.
And Rachel went on Sam's and ordered me 3 things of Motrin.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
I was just about to say, I bought the 3-pack of Tylenol. They expired 2024, so I gotta give them away because I'm like, I don't need them. So I guess Thanksgiving, if somebody wanted, just tell me.
Find your tribe. People's gonna leave food on the doorstep when y'all all in there sick and you can't go nowhere and you don't feel like cooking.
That part.
I'm telling you, find your village.
Meal training it up for each other.
Yes, meal training it.
I done got a curbside drop off by Shayla. So yes.
Listen, we're doing
home cooked.
Shayla's good for that.
So we are going to say good night to our those that are still viewing. Again, we love y'all to pieces. Thank y'all so much for staying in the room with us through our shenanigans and talking about all of our stories that we be sharing. Y'all just don't know how much fun we have during the week in here. If you need support, Angie, if you will put in the email address, feel free to drop my phone number in there. Please reach out if you need us. If you found our Facebook page to watch us, you can get in contact with us because between myself and Angie, we check those messages. So if you need us, again, it's not going to be on the outro because you'll see why when you see the outro. But Angie, stop making faces. Anyway, I'm going to say good night to the viewing audience. And then as always, I will come back in and I will say good night to those in the room. So if all of my ladies will go on mute and camera off, we will say our good night.